When I was 12, video games were my favorite. I couldn't get enough. I was at the arcade every chance I got. Then, one night, everything changed. I lived in Portland, Oregon with my mom and older brother. We lived a few blocks from the arcade, so I would go with my friend Lenny, and sometimes my brother Jason would join us. It was a Tuesday night. Me and Lenny headed down to the arcade. It was pretty empty. Lenny went over to one of his favorites and started playing. I headed towards Pac-Man. That's when I noticed a new game was added. It was called Polybius. I thought I'd give it a try. It was sort of a shooter puzzle game. Pretty fun. I played for maybe 15 minutes and started to get a little bit of a headache. I quit and went over to another game. But while playing, I kept thinking about that new game and felt I had to beat the score. As I was thinking this, Lenny called me over. "Hey, I beat your old score, loser," he gloated. I ran over to win back the top score. While playing, out of the corner of my eye, I saw another kid go over to Polybius. I tried a few times but couldn't beat Lenny's new score. Lenny wanted to try the new game, so he went and stood behind the kid at Polybius. He was taking forever. Like he didn't see there were other kids wanting a turn. "Hey, we're next, man." He ignored me, just kept playing. Lenny decided it wasn't worth waiting for anymore. "Let's just play something else. I'll try another time." Lenny was easygoing like that. We went off and played some other games that I don't even remember right now. All I kept thinking about was how I really wanted to play Polybius again. I was drawn to it, but that damn kid wouldn't get off. It got late, and we went home. That night I had very strange dreams. I could see the shapes from the game around me, and a strange man wearing a suit walking towards me. A couple of days went by, and I wanted to go to the arcade. I called Lenny, but he couldn't go, so I went by myself. I got there, and there was a line at Polybius. Oh, come on. I got in line, and after what felt like forever, it was finally my turn. I put my coin in and began to play. The next thing I knew, the guy who worked there was pulling me away from the game. He was carrying on about how he's told us we gotta take turns or something. Honestly, I didn't really listen. I felt weird, really tired, and foggy. I looked around the arcade. There were so many games without a line. Games that would normally have lines. I could have gone to any of them, but something made me go back in line for Polybius. It took so long. By the time I was next in line, it was already past my curfew. I didn't care. I started to play again. It felt like I had only started to play when I heard my brother calling me. "Danny, let's go. It's almost 9. Mom's pissed. He grabbed my arm and practically dragged me off the game. On the way home, I was trying to remember my score, but I couldn't. I couldn't remember anything, and my head was pounding. When we got home, my mom started yelling about being home by 7. But she looked weird. I just nodded my head and went to my room. As I laid down, I heard the music from the game. Images flashed in and out. I felt heavy and tired. The next day I went to school. I felt exhausted, like I didn't sleep one bit. Lenny was talking to me, but I couldn't understand him. It was like I couldn't focus. I just kept thinking about that game. I told him we should go right after school. He said he couldn't go before doing his homework. Lenny was smart like that. Still, for all of his smarts, a good game is hard to resist. Come on, just one game, Lenny agreed. When we got there, these 2 men were working on the game. They didn't look like normal repairmen. They had suits on. They had the machine plugged into another small black box, and after a few minutes, they left. They really gave me the creeps. The one guy looked at me as he walked by. His face was abnormally pale, and his eyes were dark and empty. But none of that mattered to me. I just wanted to get back to the game. I began to play as Lenny watched, and soon a line formed behind me. The next thing I remember doing is waking up in the city by an old building. I was confused and began walking home. It was getting dark. My head was pounding. Where was Lenny? How did I get here? The sounds of the city were wrong too, and I kept seeing these flashes of color. I saw one of the men in black at a street corner, watching me. What was going on? I began to run, hearing my heart pound in my head. I made it to my neighborhood and could even see my house when one of the men appeared in front of me. I don't know if it was fear, exhaustion, or if I was hit by something, but I passed out. I woke up in my bed. My mom must have found me passed out in the yard. That game. It's gotta be something with that game. I laid there, trying to rationalize what happened when my mom came in. She was pissed. She accused me of doing drugs. I told her I wasn't, that I just kept getting these bad headaches. My mom calmed down. She believed me, but I was still grounded for not being home by 7. I wasn't allowed to go to the arcade for the weekend. Over the weekend, the headaches and hallucinations subsided, but I still thought about the game, even though I knew, for whatever reason, it was the cause. That Monday I saw Lenny at school, and he started talking to me about Polybius. I told him not to play that game, but it was already too late. He said he already had. He played it for hours yesterday, and planned on going after school. I warned him it made me sick somehow. There's something wrong with it. He laughed at me and said, it's just a game, and that I probably caught a bug. No matter what I said, he wouldn't listen. I just finished being grounded. My mom would expect me to go straight home after school. I didn't. I went with Lenny to the arcade. When we got there, the place was almost empty, and the game Polybius was gone. Lenny ran over to the empty spot where Polybius used to stand. What the hell? Maybe it's getting repaired. He was desperate. I was glad it was gone, but part of me was hoping it was getting repaired. When we left and started walking home, on the way, I thought I saw one of those men sitting on a bench by the park. I quickly looked away. I still don't know if he was really there or not. After a few weeks, I felt normal. No more nightmares, no more headaches. The game never came back. I didn't go back to the arcade for months. Lenny eventually convinced me to go back. Lenny was good at talking like that. Decades later, I still think about that game. And sometimes, I still get nightmares.
You might not know it, but I've learned a lot by playing video games. One of the first lessons I've learned came from Tetris. If you fit in, you're gonna disappear. So make sure you stay unique. And that brings me to this week's top comment. This week's top comment comes from Reddit. Dr. Cuts wrote, "What the f*** is wrong with that skeleton dude?" Good question. So I told him, "I'm not sure. I think I didn't get enough love as a child." He stood quiet after that. So I guess that means this week's top commenter is me! Oh, nice. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, please like and leave a comment below. Otherwise it'll be game over for me!